Gordon, we have a few minutes before.
Later. Okay.
Okay, we are live.
Thanks, Mrs. Bailey. Once again, I'd like to welcome everyone that's watching or will be watching to our latest edition of our town hall, which has become a series, which I hope everybody's getting something out of. I think it's been very good. Today with me, I'm just going to go around the squares that I have on my screen. I have Mrs. Bailey, Sherry Bailey, our Director of Technology, who's helping us tonight. Gina Wilson, our Family Engagement Coordinator. Yolanda Hamilton, our Diversity and Equity Consultant. Leanne Riesland, our Director of Teaching and Learning. Sean Patton, our Assistant Superintendent. And Gordon Dupree, our Director of Pupil Services. The aim tonight is to talk with parents and guardians about two things. The hybrid model that was introduced on Monday at the board meeting, which we're calling the 2-1-2 model. And also the Cuyahoga County current red status and what that means for learning. Right now, we are going to stay remote until at least November 30th. And unfortunately, cases do seem to be trending upward with COVID. So those are our two main topics of conversation. While we wait, and again, please you chat into the YouTube chat, and then Mrs. Bailey sends along those questions to us. Just to kind of get us started, the 2-1-2 model basically divides students by alphabet, and this does a couple things for us. For safety, it brings down class sizes to approximately 15 people in one room. That does not mean that there could be 19 people in a room or so, but we will ensure that there's appropriate social distancing there, and there could be less than 15 people in a room, and that will let us do that. And we divide the students by alphabet, and around about half the alphabet would attend Monday and Tuesday, and then be online Thursday, Friday, and then the other half on Thursday, Friday. Wednesdays we are calling Reset Wednesdays. Those are for some small group work or work that students need to get caught up on, and also for teacher planning. And that's the basic framework that we're looking at. We are also looking at trying to do some work where some of this hybrid model may be mimicked within the remote learning model, but we are still working on those plans. I do also really want to talk about the Cuyahoga County red status and what this means for the school district. As I said at the board meeting, we are going to stay in remote learning until at least November 30th. We are going to reevaluate that in a couple of weeks and see where the cases are trending, and make a decision from the for the rest of the semester. I don't want to piecemeal it where we say, okay, we're going to come back we're going to stay out for a couple of weeks and then try to come back. We will make a decision about the semester in a couple of weeks. And with that, I see our first question came across. It's about the third grade test. And I actually would like to throw it to Mrs. Riesland to talk a little bit about the mandate we do have from the state, which we quite frankly find unfortunate, but it is something we do have to abide by. Mrs. Riesland.
Thanks. So we do administer the third grade test every fall, and this is only grade 3 takes a test in the fall. And that's because of the mandates around the third grade reading guarantee. We give kids the opportunity to take the test 2 times in the third grade year. So they take it in the fall. It is an end of course exam, so it's a little bit tough for some kids at the beginning of the year, They take it in the fall of third grade, and they have that opportunity to earn a score that the state has considered proficient, and then they are able to move on to fourth grade. Some kids do meet that in the fall, and then they're, smooth sailing for them throughout their third grade year. Some kids do not, and that's okay because they have their other opportunity in the spring. Right now, we are on a sort of a bit of a hiatus with the third grade reading guarantee. We still have to give the test, but because of the COVID shutdown last spring, the state is allowing us to not retain students based on that test's cut score. So students can still be retained for other reasons. They still need to take the test, but they will not be retained from a lack of earning the appropriate cut score.
Okay, a couple of things about testing environment. So in terms of the testing environment, the children do have to come in person for the test. The state has told us to make our best faith effort on this. We completely understand if there are parents that do not feel comfortable sending their children for the test, but we do encourage you to come if you feel you are able to safely do so. We will make the environment as safe as possible with social distancing, temperature taking, and all of the various sanitation things we have been working on here in the district. But we do understand that there could be some concerns there. The next question, I'm not quite certain about, a change to the day or virtual learning, so students will have to spend the entire class period on Zoom with the teachers. I'm assuming that's what we were talking about Monday in terms of the next quarter's remote learning kind of model. I am also going to throw this to Mrs. Reisland, so I don't speak out of pocket, but what I did say on Monday is that we are looking to modify the day in terms of how the students are working, or modify the week, I guess. Mrs. Reisland?
Yeah, I was just reading it in the chat. So the Digital Academy, I'm going to answer a couple questions. I'm not exactly sure which one you're asking. We will be adjusting the Bulldog Digital Academy along with everybody else's remote schedule. So if we go, I know that there were a couple of questions at the work session last week about mirroring the remote plan to the hybrid plan. So if we did, and say we did a 2-1-2, the DA would do that too, if that's the question. If you're asking about kids who are in the Digital Academy, but they may be live Zooming with a teacher because they would be in person, we do have some kids who are enrolled in the Digital Academy, but we didn't have enough teachers to actually make a full Digital Academy class. So we have like a handful of kids tuning in. So say you wanted to be in show choir, obviously we didn't create a show choir for BDA. So we have kids who would be going into show choir and they would be doing it like this, Zooming, because they're at home in the Digital Academy if show choir were to return in the building. That is still happening. So I'm not sure which one of those questions exactly you were asking. If you need more clarification, type it in the chat a little bit more.
Okay. I would like to, there's a question about the status for CVCC. As some of you may have seen, we did have our first student positive COVID case. This was a CVCC student. So the CVCC is staying open, and they have to go through the same process as the Garfield Heights City Schools does in terms of notification and contact tracing. We have gone through that process, and we are making sure that any student that was near the other student was informed regarding quarantine. Obviously, on our side, we had the student on a bus, and we're working to not only inform the entire school, but we are informing those children as well. As we go through this process, the main thing to keep in mind is that we do work very closely with the Cuyahoga County Board of Health. And we want to make sure that we follow their lead in terms of what we need to do to mitigate any possible COVID exposure. And we did do that relatively quickly today. And we do also want to be very transparent with the information while also protecting individuals' privacy. So there is a bit of a balance there, but we believe that we did get the information out relatively quickly. We are going to continue to do that. We are working on a COVID tracker, which will be placed on our website, which other districts are also deploying. So parents are fully aware of how many COVID cases are in the district. Our CVCC group of students is our only group that does attend anything in person right now, beyond extracurricular activities. Again, and if parents have any individual questions, I don't hesitate to contact me directly at the board office. I'd like to, since we're talking, we get a little chance to talk a bit here. I got to put you on the spot, but a little bit, Ms. Hamilton, if you want to talk about some of the equity work we've been doing, we're trying to advertise that a little bit more and kind of where we are with some things kind of at a 500-foot level.
Sure. So as the viewers may be aware, we had on our website posted the equity plan that we created specifically for COVID. Again, to Mr. Hankey's point, we please understand that our efforts in going through this are often, I don't want to say derailed, but sort of, due to the state's mandates and recommendations, there are things beyond our control. More recently, in terms of looking at the equitable process to ensure the safety of all students for the reopening plan, our cabinet as well as our equity task force had been working on an equity rubric, which was created by our task force. We had put a lot of thought and effort into making sure that the most vulnerable populations within our district would have an equitable opportunity to learn going back into the school reopening process. So we just recently reviewed that and we're continuing with having plans underway. But again, those have been delayed due to the resurgence of COVID within our district. Most importantly, what I would like to just reinforce to everyone is that we are taking a critical look at this. This is not something that our district is trying to rush. We want to really ensure that we have the proper measures and protocol in place when we do reopen for in-person instruction. We want to make sure that it is equitable for everyone so that they can actualize their full potential in the learning environment once school is in session. And so if you have any other questions about the equity plan that is currently posted on our website as it relates to COVID-19 or other issues that you have in navigating the structure of, for example, ordering meals or transportation and things of that nature for delivery, support for your children in terms of tutoring and not being able to perhaps access their teachers, just feel free to reach out to us because we understand that there are concerns that might arise in between when we're coming on live to communicate with everyone. But again, our goal is to really ensure that an equitable process for the families in our district. Thank you. Let's see.
Thanks, Mrs. Hamilton. I appreciate that. We did have a parent come in and ask about, screen time in front of Chromebooks. And we do understand that's an issue right now. And, and we do understand that there is an appetite for maybe some more asynchronous work where they're able to do some things on their own. Mrs. Reisland, you want to comment on that a bit?
Sure. That's definitely a concern. It's a concern for all of us here at school. It's a concern, that I have for my own daughter as a parent. I understand completely. And everybody around us has these concerns. We sit in meetings all the time, Zooming with other districts, other school leaders, and we're all trying to figure out ways, around it. We've talked to the teachers several times about doing things off the screen where, in Google Classroom is where the actual assignment is posted, but the work involved would be, something offline, actual paper pencil type work. And it doesn't necessarily have to come back. It's just practice. It's practice for kids. It's, time away from the screen. It's practice doing things and using gross motor skills that I know, that's a concern, especially for our young kids. So we are aware of it. We're trying to, make adjustments. Our teachers are working super hard because, they know too, by the end of the day, they're exhausted from being on the screens too. And so I know they're trying to manage it all, building in breaks and having kids do some things that are offline. It's unfortunate because this is, while it's a blessing that we have this, it is, sometimes a little bit much. And we totally get that and understand it. There are going to be some opportunities in the future for some other types of things to go home. We've been talking about doing, a pickup of supplies, a pass out of different things, of getting, other things into kids' hands. Until we can have that in-person learning though, this is going to be our format. And we are just going to have to kind of make do with the best that we can do with it. We know, everybody knows it's a concern, and we're doing our best to limit it while still maintaining our, hours of daily instruction that we have to have that are imposed on us by the state, and, keeping within everything that we have to do and get the content across to the kids.
Thanks, Mrs. Reisland. Another question came over the chat about special needs students allowed being back on site despite the increase in COVID cases. According to the Board of Health, and we do look at their recommendations. They are recommendations; they're not orders. But on their red recommendations, they do still recommend that special needs students that have smaller class environments are able to come back into the learning environment. We're being careful. We're only doing this 2 days a week while we're in red. If in fact the county does go up to purple status, which is the highest amount of community spread and exposure risk, no students will be allowed in the building. And we'll have to have the fully remote environment for everyone. The special needs students, especially in low incidence settings, do have some things that really need to take place on site, and we have made as many accommodations as we could during the remote learning period, but it's going to be very helpful for those students. We are working with the families individually on that. Where can we find information on the website?
Are they referencing in response to the COVID equity document? If you go on the school's website and look under this Board of Education tab, click on the tab and you will see Equity Task Force. You would then click on that. It gives you an overview of our Equity Task Force, Equity Task Force, who sits on the task force, and also a copy of the draft of the plan. We encourage you also to just continue to, if you haven't done so, to our audience, check the website for updates. We are, as part of our equity process, using multiple channels of communication, but it is up to you to make your best effort to access those resources and things that we are posting on our website. And again, it's always, if there's anything that you have questions about, you can always reach out to Mr. Hankey or the staff at the Board of Education, and we'd be more than happy to answer your question or direct you to the appropriate party.
Thanks, Mrs. Hamilton. I think that's what they're referencing. Mrs. Bailey, I'm sending over the direct link if you don't already have it. If you can put that up on the chat for me, to the equity area of the website. Yeah, I see the comment about work and it being it being challenging in the online environment, and that all kids do learn differently. We would absolutely prefer to have, as I've said this repeatedly, I think on this format, have the children back. We are very mindful, though, of the unfortunate fact that cases are rising in the county. Unfortunately, they seem to be rising nationwide. And we have to make sure we can keep everybody safe as we go through this process. If there are issues, with teachers, in terms of wanting some extra help from them, please do not be afraid to reach out to them or to the principal for help, so we can have open lines of communication between parents and teachers. I think that's really important, especially considering our current environment. With that, I'd just like to give Gina Wilson just an opportunity to kind of, again, explain her role and also some of the things we've been working on through the family engagement sphere.
Thank you. So I'm Gina Wilson. I'm the Family and Civic Engagement Coordinator for the district. And since school began, I've been working closely with Dr. Dupree, the Director of Pupil Services, and we have really wanted to take a great focus on mental health and working with the different service providers that we've worked with in the past, some old and some new. We wanted to really engage all service providers to see what services they can offer to our families and students in the district and how they can best support them during this time, during the remote learning, and if and when that time does come when we start to phase in-person learning. We have been working very close with school guidance counselors, school social workers, and administrators to make sure that we are properly filtering all referrals and families that have any questions regarding these services if they need them for their students and families. Gordon, do you have anything to add regarding service providers?
To piggyback on what Mrs. Wilson said, we meet at least, sometimes 3 times a week with service providers who work with families and children who may be stressed, depressed, contemplating harming themselves. There may be substance abuse issues. And we have so many agencies in Garfield Heights City Schools. It's astounding. We have probably 30 agencies that we work with. And even when we've worked with agencies in the past, Mrs. Wilson and I meet with them yet again because now we have to have a different service delivery model because of COVID. But we meet with parents in their homes, a public place, on their lawns, weather permitting, and any type of social, emotional, or mental health issues. We have at least 2 or 3 agencies that can address that concern. Would you agree, Mrs. Wilson, on that?
Yes, absolutely. To kind of go along with that, if families have interest in these kind of services, whether it's mental health, social emotional learning, or if you need any type of resources and you don't know what path or what avenue to go down, please feel free to contact your building principals or myself at any point, and I would be more than happy to help and guide during that process with service providers or any resources that you may be in need of, both families and students. I will be available.
All right, thanks to both of you. I see a couple of issues here with workload in terms of the teachers assigning work. Again, I encourage all of the parents to work with the teachers and the principals to make sure that those are addressed. We want to make sure that we're communicating appropriately and with the parents, and so please make sure you reach out so we can help you on the building level. And it's good feedback for us too, because again, this is still new to us in terms of how we're balancing this remote learning with the students' needs, and making sure that we're providing quality instruction to them. So we do appreciate that. Mrs. Bailey, are there any other comments? I mean, and I'm glad we did this, but it does sound like we may have done a pretty good job explaining ourselves at the work session on Monday. But if we do have any, we'd be happy to take them. Okay. Okay, Mrs. Bailey just said she messaged. I'm sorry, I only have our one side up. She just messaged anyone for any further comments. Again, I encourage parents, and as Ms. Hamilton said, we try to use as much media as we can to get our information out. These town halls, I think, have been very helpful to us, as well as the other piece that I do encourage everybody to make sure that they've opted into our Remind system. I'm able to reach all 7,000 folks. I was able to make sure that people didn't come out of their cars during a football downpour this past Friday, and I also make sure that I can advertise these things. I think text messages really get to folks. So please make sure you we do that. Parents, don't feel afraid to reach out. Please make sure you are reaching out. We don't want you to feel any sort of way in terms of reaching out. If you have an issue reaching out, please make sure you contact the principal, and if not, then you can contact me, and we can go from there. Just to clarify, we are going to remain in remote learning until November 30th. We are going to make a decision about the rest of the semester probably in the next couple of weeks. I wanted to give the district some space in case, as I said last Monday, we have a miracle and the cases go way down in the next couple of weeks. It doesn't seem to be the case right now, but we will monitor it, and we will go from there. And we do, again, as we said before, appreciate everybody's patience and flexibility during this time. And please keep reaching out. Question on the chat: will the high school be 2-1-2 as well? If we come back in hybrid, they absolutely will be. Yes. Again, right now, November 30th is a tentative return date, but we won't make a decision about the rest of the semester, which will take us into January in the next couple of weeks. I'm gonna throw this question to Dr. Dupree. I'm not quite certain if this is we'll look at this question both ways, both on the instructional side and on the social emotional side. I'd like
Mr.
to
Hank,
go ahead, Dr. Dupree.
that may well be a social emotional issue, Mr. Hankey, as well as an issue with the classroom learning. What we would hope, parents, is that if you would call us and you have a child who's depressed about this, they're just not moody, but they just don't feel like themselves. They want to give up. The work is too difficult. I don't like this Zoom business. Please call us, because we have people who can work with your child and you to make you feel a lot better about the work that needs to be done. If they're struggling because of COVID, or if they're struggling, I see that on the screen here, it says before COVID, we have people from agencies who can help you with that. They'll give you tips on how to study, tips on how not to feel overwhelmed and not feel depressed about this kind of thing. Mr. Hankey, does that answer that pretty much on the social and emotional side?
Yeah, I think so. And again, I think on the instructional side, communication is key. Again, if there are struggles going on, please communicate with the teachers and the principals, so we can help you as best we can in the remote environment, and move forward. A question: when will the 212 start? Tentatively, we'd started on November 30th for the in-person 212 hybrid. Again, we're going to make a decision about the rest of the semester in the next week or two. The Bulldog Digital Academy will mirror the 212 once we start it. But again, the Digital Academy is in a different sphere. Mrs. Reisland, please correct me if I'm speaking out of pocket, but we are looking at some changes there too, because we do recognize that as we move forward with this effort, we probably need some more space for planning. Does that make sense, Mrs. Reisland?
Yeah. And, I mean, given just the feedback this evening here in this chat, along with a lot of the feedback that we've been getting the last few weeks, the kids, they have a lot on their plates, and it seems like maybe there needs to be a little bit of an adjustment with our remote schedule, and it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly acceptable. We're in the process of still sort of hammering that out and what that's going to look like. But whatever we do with our current remote learners, these kids who really are going to go back to brick and mortar, but they're at home now, we will mirror that in the BDA. So all the kids will be doing the same thing. All of the teachers will be doing the same thing. We'll have the same amount of plan time, the same amount of class time. All of that will be the same. So we don't have specific details. I'm sure we'll be doing another town hall when we do. But when we kind of work all that out, stay tuned, because we'll be presenting them.
Thank you. Couple things here. Does the 11:30 start affect the preschool start? We do have the preschool. The parents are being reached out to, and Gina, correct me if I'm wrong, but and we're looking at again the 2-day-a-week in-person preschool start. Is that correct?
That's correct. I reached out to all preschool families and sent them messages today. We will begin the 2 days in person starting this week. It would be Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay. Mrs. Bailey, you wanted to take this last question?
Okay, just stopping typing here for a second because there's a couple more. So the question was, why don't we have a place for students to go like Cleveland does, some specific hotspot locations, like if you wanted to work in your car or work outside? I'm happy to report that we actually just ordered some additional outdoor access points. So as soon as they arrive, it's probably going to be a couple weeks, but very, very soon we will have all the parking lot areas and some of the outdoor areas around our school buildings will all have outdoor access points. So our students will be able to work there as well. So
we are also on the equity side working on some partnerships to see if we can expand some areas, and we may have some things that are coming down the hill here, but we are. I don't want to announce that until we have some more concrete answers to that piece. Obviously, we'd like more spots for folks to be able to access, but we do need to work on capacity. So we are working on that.
There's also Wi-Fi in the library parking lot. If you go to the Cuyahoga County Library in Garfield Heights, it's right by the City Hall. You can work in their parking lot as well. Mm-hmm. Any of the libraries, really. So if you wanted to go anywhere nearby, Maple Heights, Garfield Heights, Parma, there's a bunch of libraries like within 10 minutes up here.
I would like to say thanks to the parents for saying thank you to us. It is very helpful to hear that. And from everybody that they find these helpful. That's good feedback for us. I hear the comment kindergarten should go 2 days a week. Again, we are looking at safety and the way that the way we're serving kids. We have to be mindful of the COVID spread. So at this point, we can't have them going 2 days a week. Our late start Thursday is officially over. Very good question. I think that's probably the case. I don't think we'll restart late start Thursdays this year. If we do come back fully in person, we won't change the district calendar and put those back in. We may reevaluate that toward the end of the school year in the spring. But as of right now, I think we need all the minutes of instruction for that. I'm guessing this is about preschool. It says, thank you for allowing the little ones to come back. Well, we appreciate that. And again, we're trying to help our smaller environments, not just smaller kids, but smaller environments, so they can return safely. Any other questions, Mrs. Bailey? No more. Okay. Oh, that's a good question. Anything that a community member can do to help in setting up supervised working access points for students. We can't direct any sort of pod setup. I mean, it would be difficult for us to do that. If parents are doing that on their own, we appreciate that. So students have a safe place to go and do those things. And also, we are working with some organizations to try to bring those in. I think, again, just be mindful, everyone, if you are working in pods, that you're doing so in a very safe manner. If you're with folks that are not in your family and things like that, that there's social distancing and all the safety precautions are accounted for. I guess with that, we'll sign off, Mrs. Bailey. And another thank you for the BDA, and the only thing in terms of change would be just kind of the way it's changed, like the structure of the day. But we're certainly not going to change the fact that the BDA, first of all, exists, and also that the teachers and are there to help. Can we opt to keep our students online? We did say at the beginning, the Bulldog Digital Academy will be reopened at the semester. My suggestion to everyone is to hold on for a week or two while we look at a decision about whether or not we're going to remain online for the semester. All indicators do say that that's probably going to take place, but we do want to, again, give ourselves the opportunity to see if the community spread infection rate does go down. This might be for Mrs. Rising. Can students still enroll in College Credit Plus?
Yes, they can. And various schools have relieved their testing requirements for the year. Could potentially be next year too. College Credit Plus is a one-time enrollment. You do it like in March for the next year. So you cannot enroll in College Credit Plus right now at any point for this school year, but you can do it in the spring. And you just talk to your guidance counselors. There's a process to go through, and they will guide them through it.
Please continue to do these town hall sessions throughout the year. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I think these have been pretty successful. We have a lot of folks that contribute. And again, thanks to my team, because I recruit various folks to come on with me. So we have answers for you, depending what the topics are. I think this is a good platform that will outlive COVID. It's a good communication platform for us. And quite honestly, even beyond COVID, the digital platform works well, I think, for everybody in terms of being able to access things. So yeah, we will continue on with these. We will be doing obviously more frequently now because of the information we have to get out, but we will absolutely do that. I think this has been a good practice for us. So sometimes, as I say, you find a bless in the mess, and this is one of those. You have a good situation where we're able to communicate effectively. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. We will be back within the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. Once we get a look at where things lay. Remember, if in fact the county does uptick to purple, we will be pulling back on the special education students coming in person, just so everyone's prepared, because there is a possible announcement on Thursday. We do not know though for sure. So with that, I'd like to say good night to everybody. Thanks to all of the team here that helped us, and good night.